America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Then would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Holchansky?
Here.
Mrs. Vanderwater?
Here.
Mr. Trevor?
Here.
Mr. Dudzinski?
Here.
Ms. Lesniak?
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 15th? Moved.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
First item is approve renewal of maintenance contract with General Code Publishers for E-Code 360. It's the town's online code book. This is a budgeted item we do every year. Can I get a motion to approve? Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is consider favorable opinion of liquor license for The Spot LLC and waive a 30-day notice. Can I get a motion? Moved.
Second.
The only thing that I will note is that the code enforcement officer said that the parking problem has been addressed at this location. So he's comfortable with moving forward with the liquor license.
I'll just make a comment that we received the memo from the clerk's office on June 8th, so technically it's already been 30 days, so we'll still move forward with waiving it, but
Believe it or not, he's actually short one.
short one.
Babies.
Yep.
I'll also mention that it's been an existing bar for ever. And it's really no significant changes in ownership from what I know.
That's my understanding too. If there isn't any other discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item number 3, approve trash hauler licenses for Morgan Road rubbish removal and dependable disposal.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? These are current vendors with our town, and this is a renewal. No issues, I believe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 4, approve budget transfers as per the comptroller's memo. So you should have received a memo outlining some transfers to our capital equipment reserves account. This is from our, positively, this is from surplus from 21. So we are able to move $5,000 to our Parks and Recreation Vehicle Reserve, $10,000 to our Highway Superintendent Vehicle Reserve, $5,000 to the Building and Grounds Vehicle Reserve, $10,000 to Code Enforcement Vehicle, and $250,000 to the Highway Department Equipment. Just a couple notes on 2021. Our AUD has been filed with the state. We finished the year well, indicative of being able to put some of our surplus in reserves. These reserve account moves are the same as last year. Next meeting, we are going to do a bit of a deep dive into the year end with Michelle and have her kind of walk us through how we finished and in some cases how we're looking in 22. So positive news overall. And just, I guess, to throw it out there, the last time the county purchased a snowplow, it was over $250,000. So it might sound like a lot of money to save, but if we can avoid having to borrow for equipment at that cost, that's a huge benefit to the town.
So I have a question that I'll address to Michelle. These funds were, when you say unappropriated surplus, does that mean that these funds came out of 2021's budget that they weren't appropriated? And now we're moving them into 2022?
No, it still has to do with 21. So
Oh,
it's-
okay, so
it's
it was
still-
in there and then we're shifting them into where we needed to pay it from?
Yes.
Okay, and is there any other surplus still sitting in 2021 that we need to identify?
I'm actually meeting next week with Greg. I've had a hard time connecting with him over the last couple of months, so we're actually going to go through and review.
Okay, and then you'll have more to
the rest of
report?
it, which is why we're pushing it off a couple more weeks to
Perfect.
go through the detail.
Okay, thank you very much.
If there is any additional surplus, it will go back to fund balance and offset anything that we had budgeted for 21 from fund balance. So, but we'll get final numbers next meeting.
Perfect.
Can I get a motion to approve the budget transfers?
I'll make it.
Lynn, you can be the judge of that. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 5, approve a one-year summer concert series intermunicipal agreement with Lysander, Village of Baldwinsville, and the Rotary Club of Baldwinsville. I guess just in brief, this is an agreement for an existing agreement, I guess. The summer concert series that's put on by the municipalities, 3 concerts this year. This was just an attempt to put in writing what's really already being done, who's responsible for what in each municipality and the Rotary. So one concert has already taken place, and the other 2 are July 19th and August 2nd. So if I could get a motion to approve this agreement.
Moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item is approve intermunicipal agreement with shared services for code enforcement with Town of Salina. Just in brief, our codes office is really an office of 1 right now, and last week, due to a situation, we were forced to sort of close it. So we wanted to make sure we had a code enforcement officer on call in case there was something that happened in the town that required someone with that level of expertise. Normally we have an IMA, we do have an IMA with the Village of Baldwinsville and Lysander for coverage in these situations, but they were stretched a little thin. So this was just one more IMA to have another option if we need emergency code enforcement situation. So it's an agreement only through July 22nd, so it's pretty short term, and it's an in case of. So any other discussion?
I'll just make a comment that I think if there's any opportunity for shared services among our adjoining towns, it's a great relationship to have. So I'm all in favor of any way we can share services, although this is just temporary. It's nice to be friendly with our neighbors per se. And I will make a motion to approve it.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Lynn, if you don't mind, I'm just going to take this out of order, only to just get item 8. Item 8 is approve Richard Howard as the new park attendant at $15 an hour per the memo from Heidi. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 7, discussion regarding resolution to reduce the size of the town board. Councilor Dzinski.
Okay. I've brought this up before. This isn't new news. We've discussed this in the past with other town boards about reducing the size of the town board from 7 to 5. And I'm well aware that this board is very split on this issue. But I feel that this is the right time for us to be looking at this as far as a cost savings for the town. The budgets and everything are going to be very, very tight this year. And to reduce the size of the board members is a good idea. By reducing the size, we will not be affecting services to the residents at all. Just for a little information, I have some updated things here. This information I'll be reading off to you with population and town boards is from March of this year. The town of Van Buren has 14,000 people. We have 7 town board members. The town of Lysander has 22,000 people. They have 5. The town of Onondaga has 23,000 people. They have 5. The town of Cicero, 30,000 people, twice our population. They do it with 5. In the town of Salina, 32,500 people. They do it with 5. I know in the past that this has come up when the board has gone from 7 to 5, 7 to 5, back years ago, before my time. But I feel that this is something that we really need to look at now. It's a cost savings for the town. And a lot of the things that we do, we're on the Highway Committee, Erie Canal Committee, Parks, Buildings and Grounds, Cable TV, some of these things can be condensed. The Erie Canal is one that I sit on. That can be condensed in with the Parks Department. Public Safety, Howard sits on that. They meet 2 times a year. That can be condensed down to somebody else. The Highway Department, I sit on that committee with the Highway Superintendent. We meet twice a year. Doug is an elected official. He has to keep his numbers in line. That's part of his job. And I think we can get away from this. Like I said, I know this is a difficult thing, and I know this board is going to be split on this, but what I would like to see is have this be on the ballot so the public can make a decision on this. They can see what they need to have done. And I've given them the information right here. And I would like to wait for this until the supervisor can be here to make our discussion and our vote on this particular situation. And that's it. That's why I feel that we should just make the town board from 7 to 5.
Do you have a vacancy right now? I mean, there's.
There is right now at this time, yes.
And they're doing all okay without that, right?
We've been doing it that way, and there's going to be times I'll be done with the town board, Howard's going to be done with the town board. It can trickle down, and that's how we can do it. We're not going to cut somebody right out of the picture, no.
So this item's on the agenda tonight for discussion purposes, so I guess I'd open it up to the rest of the board if anyone has any comments on reducing the size of the town board.
A comment that I'll make is, I started on the board in January, so I've only been here for 7 months or so. And it takes a lot more time than I initially thought it would. So I know that you say that we can combine committees and all that. I'm not saying we can't do that. Very well, we could. I just want a little bit of time to kind of look at how much time does this actually take. I got a full-time job, and if I'm going to be we're doing the same amount with less people, it's going to be more work no matter what. Somehow it's going to be more work. So I just want some time to look at that, number one.
Sure.
Second thing is I'd really like to know what other town board members are paid. I don't, and you've discussed this too, I don't.
I have all that information.
When I first took this position, I didn't even think that it was paid, to tell you the truth. And that's not the whole reason I'm here. That's not the main reason I'm here even. But I do want that information just so we have it, that's all, so we can compare everything.
And I think when you take this job as a town councilor or a supervisor, it does take a lot of time. It just doesn't happen. The job doesn't happen. So when you're thinking of this type of position, remember that in the back of your mind, that it does take time. It does take evenings away from being at home and being with family. Now, Mike wanted me, he was interested in salaries and stuff. So, Town of Van Buren, 7 board members. At this particular time, it's $8,350.
A piece.
A piece?
Yeah.
And so the main advantage is to have less people for that amount of money? I don't completely understand the main advantage of dropping from 7 to 5.
You would save $16,000, and that being said, there's enough people with 5 to get the same amount of job done. You really can. You really can.
I think it's...
Now, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, keep going.
Now, when you get into Lysander, there's the population, they have 5 board members, that's 10,500. Town of Onondaga, 23,000, $13,069. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Town of Camille, no. The town of Cicero, $11,552,000. In the town of Cicero, okay, in the town of Cicero, $11,552. When I took this position, it has come up before in the past, councilors take raises. I never believed in that. And there's people in this room that can tell you, I always said that, and I didn't believe in it. I didn't do it for the salary, I did it because I wanted to do it for the residents. I had the time to do it, and I
I
wanted
liked it
to
down
do
and I
it.
didn't understand there was even a salary.
But it's a lot of money. And there's talk now that some counselors here on this board want to raise the salaries. I'm not in favor of that. But there's just talk, and that's all it is.
So Ron, to your point, when you bring up numbers for Lysander, Onondaga, Cicero, in comparing population, it is a big discrepancy. But you also have the salary discrepancies where we are very low and they are very high. In my opinion, if this was to get reduced, you would absolutely have to bring up salary for the 5 remaining people or the 4 remaining people to be similar to Lysander, Onondaga. That's why those salaries are higher, because those 4 people take on a lot more responsibility than us 6 people. And additionally, we want good people that want to, our residents who want to participate in town government because they care about this community. They have integrity in where our future's going, what direction we're going in. You're not going to attract someone who has that integrity for saying this job is free. It doesn't make any sense that someone would commit the time like Mike said. It can be up to 20 hours a week. I keep track of all my hours right in here because I report it. It's not a 2-hour-a-week job. I mean, we've been here since 6:15 already. You have to commit to this job and care about where the town is going and what's best for the people. So I am not in favor of the reduction. I think you're going to burden 4 people more than they need to be, and they're going to get burned out. I also feel like we're going to rely on our town attorney a lot more for negotiating collective bargaining agreements, the highway bargaining agreement, because there's not going to be enough people to support those negotiations when you drop it down to 4 people. So when you go to an expense of an attorney who is, $275 an hour or thereabouts, something.
How about 185?
But you still.
We're
have to
pushing,
maintain
we're
it.
gonna have to extend her salary and the retainer for a legal fee versus us, who is minimal at best. Because we're not gonna have the manpower to handle everything that's going on in this town. Additionally, we do have developments that are coming in. We have Kriegel Farm. We have the townhouses that are coming in at Marion Place. There's development coming into this town, and will continue. And now we're gonna burden 4 people to do all this work when we have a good team here. It's been this way for many, many years, and there's a reason it's been that way for many, many years. It works. And we do have a vacancy. As Ron said, we've managed to function this whole year with 1 less person. Doesn't mean it's right. We're not servicing our residents the way we should be because of that vacancy. And if now Mary Frances is out tonight. So Mary Frances is out tonight and we have a vacancy. We're not servicing our community the way that we're supposed to, the way that town law has it in place. That's all.
I disagree with you. I think we are. We're taking care of business now. We do have an attorney on retainer for these situations that we can bounce things back off and on. And as far as salaries, I don't see that big salary draws in the people that you need for this. You kind of want to do it. You kind of want to do this job. You're not looking for the money out of this. And if the salary is going to go up, if it's $8,350, I don't think 4 counselors in this, or 5 counselors, 4 in this town should shoot up to $11,000 or $12,000. It's just not right.
Well, I'm not suggesting
It's
that
not.
either.
It's not
To be
right.
perfectly honest with you, I'm not suggesting that at all, but I am just saying that you probably won't have 4 counselors who want to do the job of 6 at the same salary. Darcy, I know you're waiting to say something.
Well, yeah, when I was first elected, we kind of pledged that it was $8,000 a year then. We inherited that amount as the salary. And we pledged, not publicly, but amongst ourselves, never to raise that again. Just for the rest of our terms, we'd stay at $8,000, and it was fine with me. I'm not in it for the money either. I agree with Ron on that. But I do think that we shouldn't close out opportunities for the public to become involved in government. And with only 5 seats, that doesn't allow as many people to run for office. It doesn't present good, a democratic approach. So I would like to see it kept at 7 and the salaries kept where they are now. But I would also agree that maybe the public should decide. Now that the issue's out there, I have no problem at all with a referendum.
I guess I'll say for myself that I've been on the board for 8 years now, and the salary has gone from about $8,000 to $8,350 in 8 years, so it's a nominal increase. There isn't anyone here on this board that's doing this for the money. But it's appropriate to compensate because there is a lot of hours spent. You guys see the board meeting, but there's a lot that builds up to that board meeting. I actually did pitch this in a work session, I was trying to remember, about 6 years ago. And at the time, some of the board has changed, but at the time, you know, it was sort of explained to me, and I was new, and I was looking at it similarly as Councilor Dzinski, as a cost savings, as our town's size, and I was convinced that it wasn't really the right thing for our town, based on some really interesting things. By having the 7-person board, we cover a greater cross-section of the town. I happen to live in Seneca Knolls. Lenny lives on the water. Councilor Holchansky lives in Harbor Heights. You know, Councilor Tupper's in the village. Councilor Dzinski's in a rural area. I mean, it was just kind of nice the way it just sort of, we're all at large, we all serve the entire town, but we could bring our own perspectives from our neighborhoods. With less people, you can't guarantee you might have everyone from the village, everyone from Seneca Knolls, and then you lose some of that feedback from the other neighborhoods.
I feel that's very important.
It is. It was naturally, it wasn't by design, but it just happened to work out that way. You would have to raise the salaries. Some of the towns you reference have robust town employee staff. So, you know, a code enforcement officer or office might have 4 or 5 employees, so not as much will fall on the board for planning and zoning because it's sort of handled in the department level. I've been doing this a long time. It's really hard to apples any community, and everyone has to kind of do what's best for their community. I always appreciate the discussion. I don't know that there would be cost savings necessarily because you would have to increase the salaries for the remaining counselors.
Well, in addition to our capping the salaries of the board, we also reorganized the office and the government. We streamlined everything we could. We took about all the slack out of the administration that we possibly could do it. And we're right down to where, with the situated situation with the code office,
exactly.
We got caught short. So we're at the point that we can't take a whole lot more out of the salary staff here.
And I kind of think that's where the 6-person board supports that lighter staff. So, you know, this was just for discussion. We're not taking any action tonight. I just wanted everyone to get an opportunity to be heard, and I think we can move on from the topic for this evening. And there is a resolution prepared, and I think that we'll talk to Mary Frances, and it can go on our next July town board meeting.
Okay.
Okay. I will ask Councilor Holchansky, do you have an item number 9?
Yeah, actually it wasn't on the agenda, but I wanted to make a motion. First off, we've had a vacant position for a while, since the beginning of this year. And we have a viable candidate. Jennifer Sullivan is She's professional, we all have her resume, we all have her letters of reference. We put out a posting on the website, on the county web, or on the, I'm sorry, on the town website, asking for anybody who's interested. She's the only one that's expressed an interest. She's professional, she's got good references, she's got good business sense. Most importantly, I think she shows a commitment to the town board. She's been to nearly every meeting, if not every meeting that we've had since the beginning of the year, since I started. She's been participating in committees, so learning a lot about how the committees work and actually providing very good feedback for some of the committees that I've worked with her on. I think we need to replace, or we need to fill the vacant position, and I would like to make a motion to appoint Jennifer Sullivan to the vacant town board position.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any further discussion?
I'll just add that I want to make it effective July 7th, 2022.
I think we also wait until the supervisor is back.
I have the supervisor's blessing to act tonight.
Oh, okay.
I do, so.
Took care of that. Thank you. I just didn't want to be unfair to anybody.
I agree, and when I knew this was coming up, I know that other counselors have spoken to Mary Frances as well, and she has said that she's fine.
Mhm.
So, Linda, why don't we do a roll call vote?
Mr. Hochansky?
Yes?
Mrs. Vanderwater?
Yes.
Mr. Tupper?
Yes.
Mr. Dudzinski?
I abstain.
Ms. Lesniak?
Yes. Motion carries. Jenny, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Counselor and committee reports and comments. Start with you, Howard.
Well, other than the current events here with the code office and so forth, the phone conversations I've had, I don't have anything at all.
Okay. Buddy.
I don't think I have anything either.
Wonderful. Mike.
Nothing for me tonight?
Moving right along. Ron.
We had a Parks, Building and Ground and Parks Committee meeting on June 16th, and everybody got a copy of the letter. And we went through and we discussed some of the wish list of some of the things that Heidi and Chris want up in there. They want a new pool liner, new playground equipment, new lifeguard chairs, softball fields, dugouts, replacement of the picnic tables, bird spikes for the pavilions to keep them under the rafters. We went over a lot of different things. And what we're trying to get them set as to what we need and what should be going on in the park. What we would like to do is, we're going to have to talk to you and Greg about what we can do for a reserve fund for the park. Everything is very, very, very expensive, whether it's equipment, pickleball courts, you name it, it's very, very expensive. So we need to have a discussion with him to see if there's some way, if it's possible, to set up something. We would have to appropriate money every year from the budget. As I said before, the budgets are very, very tight. We do this with the highway department when we do it for trucks. We do it in the buildings and grounds for their equipment and trucks. Maybe we can do something like this for playground equipment. And it's not just the big park. It's Van Buren Park, it's Harbor Heights Park, it's Memphis Park, it's going to be the new park, Snowdale. So maybe this is something we can look at. Maybe it can happen, maybe it won't. This is something that we discussed and we thought would be a good thing.
Smart.
The donations. There's been a lot of talk about AED machines and all that kind of stuff. And what we wanted to do was set something up so there's a guideline for accepting things from now on. The AED machine, we're going to work on that. We did not turn it down. Right now, the park is up and running, the pool is going, there's issues going on with chlorine, there's a lot of different things going on right now. This is not the time to be discussing that. We have the lifeguards at the park, they can take care of this situation. We will cross that bridge later on, maybe in September. What we did do is we have a donation acceptance form, and what it's going to be is who is doing it the dollar amount and where the donation would like to be. And I want this to be with Heidi and Chris. The town board can overlook it, but they know where they want things in the park. They don't want letters on the side of the building. They don't want benches scattered out through over the place. Maybe it's trees, maybe it's plaques, something like that. So we're gonna have this letter, and it's going to detail everything and how much it's gonna cost, and then it's gonna be maintained by the people that are doing the donations. We're not gonna have anything to do with it, but we're willing to accept it and let them have it in the park, and we'll tell them where they can have it in the park. And that was the gist of it.
A couple things that I'll add is the homeowners association from Harbor Heights, the president sent me an email specifically asking for, number one, pickleball that Ron just mentioned. A pickleball court to build, I guess, from scratch is upwards of $50,000.
Yeah.
So it is something that we're looking at. Maybe we can resurface, maybe we can do something, but I just wanted to put out there that it's not something that we're just going to ignore. If the residents of a particular neighborhood, and they have a park in the neighborhood, are saying this is the best way our park could be used, we have to look at that, which is what the committee is doing, so I appreciate that. The second thing is they asked for some kind of fencing along the fence where the volleyball court is, because when you play volleyball court is very close to the exterior, the outside fence along the perimeter, and they keep hitting the ball out because they're not very good volleyball players. Don't put that on TV. So they keep hitting it out, and they wanted something to be put up. So the parks, the committee, the director, and Chris came up with an idea of maybe rotating the volleyball net and moving it in a different area. So I think it's a good idea. I did send it to the homeowners association president to see what she thought.
There's no cost associated.
There's no cost
with it.
associated, it's just labor, it's just moving the net from one place to another.
Mhm.
So something like that could work. The reason I bring it up is because I appreciate the thinking outside the box type thing on behalf of the parks people. So I just want to pass that along.
The other thing that you have to remember is there's opportunities for grants, specifically for parks. So while we want a pickleball court at that park or whatever, new playground equipment that, we can't budget for because there's no money, we certainly can scour Onondaga County and see if we can get some grants. I know that we did receive a recent grant that's now been diverted over to the Connors Road culvert, but we could see if next year we could get a grant, and part of that can go to the parks for new equipment and a pickleball court.
I think this can be part and parcel. I like the idea of establishing a reserve for the park. Maybe you start off a little nominal. I mean, when we find out, where we're at fully, then we can have that discussion about possibly creating another reserve account. But yes, there is a lot of grant funding for anything in that parks world. And so both, I say. If that's it from counselors?
I'm done.
Okay. The highway superintendent is off this evening.
Highway superintendent.
Oh, I'm sorry. The chair recognizes the engineer.
The Village Boulevard Drainage Project kicked off in earnest today. There's been some lane closures out there. Highway superintendent would like people to avoid that area for the next couple of weeks, well, right through the end of the month, because when we're done with drainage, we're going to go right on to milling and paving that area. So avoid that area. It's a construction zone. There's some one-way areas, and it's best just to avoid it.
Now, when you're talking about milling and paving, it's going to be both lanes and the circle?
Correct.
Okay.
And 100 feet both ways on the boulevard north and south.
Okay.
Anything else, Jason?
I'll do my engineer comments now too. We brought up the Connors Road project. We got the preliminary design plans from our consultant. I'm going to take a look at those, pass on any comments I have, and then they'll move right into final design. We should be bidding that early fall for spring construction.
Great.
Any word on the new pavilion at Van Park?
No. The highway department leveled and put down stone at the basketball court at Snowdale Park, and their plan was to roll into doing the same thing for the pavilion up at the park. But we got this vendor, the materials arrived for this Village Boulevard project, so for the next 2 weeks, probably the whole month, they're going to be focused on road projects. And then once that's done, then move on to the building pad.
Thank you. They're forced to pivot as asphalt is available. So, supervisors' comments. I don't have anything much to add except for Heidi Anders, the park director, did give me a little memorandum. And Lynn, if you don't have this, I'll leave this with you. So she just wanted to let everyone know the pool did open on Saturday, June 18th. Had a slow start to the season, but once the kids were out of school, we saw a significant increase in the pool attendance. And obviously pending the summer we have, hopefully that is filled with kids. The playground program started on Monday, June 27th. They started with 81 kids and have picked up another 15 since then, averaging about 75 to 80 kids a day. Quite a few of the programs have run or will be running this summer. Currently on the 4th boater safety course, finished a pound class, exercise, dog obedience, several kids craft classes. Tennis is starting next week. Both sessions are already booked. Camp Crayola, and Camp Kindergarten start today over at the school district. This was effective yesterday. Swimming lessons haven't been offered for the last 3 years, so we're seeing a significant increase in registration. Several lessons have already been closed out for the summer. So our park is back up and running and is getting utilized, and I'm thrilled because the last 2 years were frustrating for everybody. So, citizens' comments. Anyone looking to address the board this evening? I'll start.
If I just might, in going back to the size of the town board, I don't think money should be an issue. If you have 7, that's 2 additional thoughts on any process that you're looking at. Opinions, variations. If you would put it to a vote by the people, because it is an elected position, then put all of the reasons, negative and positive, why you want to decrease, why you want to stay the same. Don't just put that you're going to save money. Everybody's going to vote, yeah, you're going to save money.
Sure.
But I mean, it's a fine line that you all dance. Mm-hmm. And it's not a thankful job. And I appreciate all you do.
Thank you. Mr.
I would
Sykes.
just add that you look at the village of Baldwinsville, they have a 7-person board for 7,000 people. Half what we have.
Good point.
Does the school board pay a salary?
Didn't used to. I don't know if it does now.
I don't think they do. I think that's all volunteer. And there's certainly a hot contest every time a board is elected. So we get the talent because of the desire to serve, like Ron says. I don't think, well, Michael is an example of that too. He didn't know there was a salary. Didn't matter to him.
Just signed up.
So I think we're gonna get the talent.
I got a check in my mailbox today.
You know, the other thing, and I don't want to talk in citizens' comments, but, you know, not only did we cover a cross-section of the town, we all came from different day jobs, which brought perspective too. So that, like you said, the unique ideas and the different opinions, and that's...
important.
Any other citizens? Ms. Sullivan?
I would like to thank the board for the appointment. I appreciate it, and I really look forward to working with each of you and serving the community.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you.
Don't you?
Yeah.
You know there's a salary.
I guess so now.
Any other comments? I guess I'll go to attorney comments.
I have one this evening.
Anything from the clerk?
Where do you live?
Motion to adjourn to the regular town board meeting on July 20th at 7.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Don't abstain.
Thank you all for coming.